Welcome everyone to the finale of Sopo 6B. 22 teams came in, only 5 have eligibility to win, and in this video we will find out which one of those 5 come out victorious. As expected, this round had the lowest turnout of them all, as multiple teams now did not attempt the puzzles. Pretty expected when only 5 out of 22 teams are eligible to win anymore. Oh well. Still, the majority of teams, over 3/4 of them, still completed all of the puzzles, meaning we've still got an extremely exciting episode ahead of us, so let's crack on. The first puzzle was Cube. In this puzzle, you got 2 things. You firstly got 6 different cubes with a letter on each of their faces. You secondly got a board with groupings of 6 cells that correspond to each cube. Each of these groupings of 6 cells form one of the 11 hexameters that can legitimately wrap into a cube. What you had to do was unravel the cubes into their respective net form on this grid so that the letters spell out a sentence. It was a little bit tricky to do, seeing as you can't tell where the word started and ended, but most teams were able to correctly get what as the first word, finishing the red cube instantly. After that, is and singular also came very quickly, and everything unwrapped from there. The final sentence was what is one singular side of a dodecahedron, in which the answer was pentagon. Now, let's see these results. Congratulations Team BEFFD8 on winning the cube puzzle with a time of 4 minutes and 12 seconds. How fitting that your first puzzle victory was the first puzzle of the first round, and your second puzzle victory is the first puzzle of the last round. In second place, a whole 2 minutes behind them, is our current 5th placing team, Puzzles:3, with a time of 6 minutes and 15 seconds. Meanwhile, our current frontrunner team, not involved in cheating, rounds out the podium with a time of 6 minutes and 50 seconds. After that, we have a pretty large jump down to 4th place with Team Offline Simulator with a time of 9 minutes and 14 seconds. Finally, rounding out the top 5 is Weekly's Animatics Org with a time of 10 minutes and 2 seconds. Our 5th to 10th placers were all extremely tight, all placing within about 2 minutes of each other, and that is where we find our other 3 eligible to win teams. Overall, 14 teams finished in under half an hour, while, 15 teams finished in under an hour. Yeah, only Team Rocket Cats finished between 30 and 60 minutes, while the other 3 teams that did complete the puzzle were all just over an hour. As you can see, 4 teams did not complete the puzzle at all, which is going to be the same for the other 2 puzzles as well. The closest 2 times ended up being AWGGR beating 225 Espers by only 2 seconds. Anyways, congratulations again to BEFFD8 on their second puzzle victory, and now let's move on to puzzle number 2. The second puzzle was Caves. Caves is one of those puzzles that has plenty of solvers out there, but to avoid this puzzle's fastest path to the solution just being plugging it into a solver, I made it an irregular board, forcing you to complete the puzzle normally. Well, in most cases at least. We'll get to that. Anyways, when you complete the puzzle, you'll notice that all of the filled in cells are in 10 different clumps, each of which resembles a letter of the alphabet. These letters need to be anagrammed into the final answer. How? That's where the flavor text comes in. Also within the cave are 4 different animals, each with a different color. Therefore, you had to anagram these letters into a color and an animal, in which the only combination is white horse, which is the answer to this puzzle. Now, let's see the results. Alright. I know what you're thinking. You know what I'm referring to. 8 minutes and 56 seconds on the caves puzzle? Surely that's impossible, right? Well, yes, but the answer being a pair of an animal and a color made this puzzle just on the realm of brute force ability without having to do the puzzle at all. And Dripswag ended up managing to do an extremely small amount of the caves puzzle and completely lucked out into brute forcing it in 8 minutes and 56 seconds. I thought that no one would be able to do that. Several other teams certainly attempted to brute force it without any luck, but Dripswag just got it, amazingly. I almost feel bad for second place team No Strong Preference, who would have been the real winners with a time of 19 minutes and 11 seconds. Anyways, in third place is a team new to the podium. It's Weekly's Animatics Org with a time of 21 minutes and 35 seconds. Less than a minute behind them is their only other 4-player team not involved in cheating, and finally rounding out the top 5 is Puzzles:3 once again with a time of 25 minutes and 38 seconds. These were the only 5 teams to finish in under half an hour, as 6th place team BEFFD8 finished just over it. Then, 12 teams finished in under 1 hour, and Hot Mess Express sets a new record for the longest puzzle time with a time of 18 hours, 41 minutes, and 57 seconds. Dripswag may have their impressive 9-minute brute force finish, but that will never take away Hot Mess Express's brutal determination to finish the puzzle no matter how long it took, and how many sheets of paper it took. The closest 2 teams placed together was Team Uni beating out Offline Simulator by only 10 seconds, both being right over an hour. Congratulations again to Dripswag for their 6th puzzle victory, holy crap. And let's move on to the grand finale puzzle of Sopo. The third puzzle and grand finale of Sopo was Cryptics. In this puzzle, you got 15 different Cryptics puzzles, each of them resulting in a single word or phrase as an answer. I'm not going to talk about each one individually because that would take ages, and I know you're all just dying to see the final results. So instead, I'm going to flash each answer on the screen for 1 second, and you can pause the video if you want to see each Cryptics answer. Okay, now with all 15 Cryptics answers, the puzzle also told you that these Cryptics are tied in with all the solutions for past Sopo answers. In particular, all of the puzzle answers from Sopo 1 to 5. When you line up each answer in order with each Cryptics answer, you'll notice that they're all the same number of letters long. You had to find something else in common between each pair of answers, and in this case, the thing in common was a single letter placed in the exact same spot for each of them. For instance, the first Sopo puzzle answer was Zebra, which shares 1 letter in the same spot as the first Cryptics answer, Parka being the final A. When you do this for all 15 pairs, you get 2 words, Alcohol Minstrel, which is the final answer to this puzzle. Swag is fully unstoppable. Out of all 18 puzzles, they win a grand total of 7 of them. That's more than 1 per episode on average. That's just crazy. And with a time of 7 minutes and 8 seconds too, on the hard puzzle? Well, let's talk about that for a second. So, as you the contestants already know, but the viewers do not, the Cryptics puzzle that was given to you guys was not the original Cryptics puzzle. The original that was sent out unfortunately had an issue that I did not catch. And as a result, the entire thing had to be scrapped and recreated. That meant that there was now a full puzzle that all teams could do for practice that wouldn't count, which likely contributed to the fact that all of these times were so fast, but also the fact that this second Cryptics puzzle was created on a bit of a time crunch, as I didn't want to delay this too much, leading it to be much easier than the first one. Still though, it was an extremely good puzzle, especially for one created on such short notice, and I want to especially thank Ben and Hans for coming through with this, especially Hans who took time out of his vacation for this. Massive props to them. Anyways, moving on, in second place is Team Patricia with a time of 8 minutes and 45 seconds, and in third place is... What? Team Bread and Flaps? Where did you come from? I gotta admit, it is funny as hell that Bread and Flaps had such a consistent streak, getting green tier on literally every single puzzle, including both of the last two, but at the very last puzzle possible clutched up with a podium placement. What a funny ending. Anyways, rounding out our top 5, we have No Strong Preference with a time of 9 minutes and 18 seconds, only 5 seconds behind Bread and Flaps, which were the 2 closest times of this round. And finally in 5th place is Puzzles:3 with a time of 12 minutes and 37 seconds, being the sole team to place in the top 5 in all 3 puzzles of the round. Overall, 11 teams finished in under 30 minutes, and there was a massive gap between those 11 and the other 12, with 12th and 13th finishing only a bit under 1 hour, and 14th and above finishing over an hour. Congratulations again to Drip Swag for their 7th puzzle victory. And now, it's officially time. You've all been waiting for it. It is now time to reveal the official winners of Sopo. And thus, we have our top 5 teams. In 5th place is... Patricia. Patricia, you were the original front runners, and after all this time, you still have the best single round run, with 2 victories and a bronze medal in round 1. I know that after time, your members began to get busier, resulting in a slow and slight fall down the leaderboard, but you still managed to finish your final puzzle with a silver medal, ending you off in the 5th place. In 4th place, we have... Puzzles:3. Unlike Patricia, you were always a consistently good team, rarely on top, but you always had your bases covered, and in fact, you came out of the competition with the most top 5 placements out of any other team, with a total of 13 out of 18. That's only 5 puzzles where you weren't in the top 5. You may not have accomplished the victory, but you still finished with an extremely impressive 4th place. Getting the bronze medal of Sopo, Drip Swag like a broken faucet. Out of all teams here, you definitely had one of the most chaotic runs, and one essentially opposite of Patricia, as you started off with 3 green tiers in the first round, but managed to finish off with 5 puzzle victories in the last 7 puzzles. When you conquered, you dominated, getting more than triple the number of puzzle victories that any other team did. While it may not have been enough to push you up to a win in the end, you still push yourself right onto the podium with an extremely impressive 3rd place finish. Only 2 teams remain, No Strong Preference and Not Involved in Cheating. No Strong Preference had the better round 6, I'll say that, but was it enough to beat Not Involved in Cheating in the end? The winner of Sopo is Team Not Involved in Cheating, with an impressive 4.72 average. Congratulations, Not Involved in Cheating. You were always one of the front runners right out of the gate, but when the first front runner team Cryptic started losing steam, you swooped right in there to take the new front runner spot, and you continued to dominate and never lose steam, leading to your impressive victory here. Congratulations on your win. Let's not leave out Team No Strong Preference though. You may not have won, but you were damn close, being the only other team other than Not Involved in Cheating to finish under a 5th place average. You guys had an unmatched consistency for doing well in puzzles, with a 5 puzzle streak of podiums at one point, and being one of only 2 teams to be in the top half for all 18 puzzles. You may not have won, but 2nd place is still extremely impressive, so congratulations to you on that finish. Let's look at that full leaderboard actually. We actually had a tie between 6th and 7th place teams, We Broke the Code and BEFFD8, who both got an average of 7.56, but WBTC takes the win in the tie due to, well, both teams got 2 gold medals, but WBTC also has a silver medal, while BEFFD8 does not. Also another reason that I'll explain later. The most consistent team of Sopo overall was Team Rocket Cats with a standard deviation of 2.38, who were consistently, well, not very good, but rarely right on the bottom. Hot Mess Express follows right behind them with the same predicament with a final standard deviation of 2.48, while Bread and Flap's sudden 3rd place on the final puzzle dropped them down to 3rd place for consistency with a final standard deviation of 2.6. Meanwhile, out of our top 5 group, the most consistent team ended up being No Strong Preference with a standard deviation of 3.09. As for least consistent, the least consistent team of the entire game was Colon3 with a standard deviation of 5.58, placing pretty much everywhere on the board. The only other team that was close to that was Weekly's Animatics Org with a standard deviation of 5.4. Also as expected, our least consistent team of the top 5 ended up being Drip Swag with a standard deviation of 4.4. Speaking of Drip Swag, they actually won the final round with an average of 3, right ahead of Puzzles Colon3 with an average of 4. No Strong Preference rounds out the round 6 podium with an average of 4.67, and BEFFD8 and Weekly's Animatics Org finish in joint 4th and 5th with an average of 5. Okay, let's move on to some stats. Here is the final chart for every puzzle's average time with all outliers removed. I'm looking at you, Hot Mess Express and Team Uni. As you can see, round 6 ended up being generally in the middle, meaning harder easy puzzles on average, but easy harder puzzles on average, which makes sense as both caves and cryptics could be fairly easily brute force once you hit a certain point. Looking back at all the times on all puzzles combined, there aren't any major changes with the round 6 times, but BEFFD8 now holds both 2nd and 3rd for the fastest overall puzzle solves. Spotted still holds the most solves in the top 20, and with round 6 there aren't any other under a 10th of a second finishes like these 2 here, and the record one is now all the way down here, now at 76th and 77th fastest puzzle solves. There are 2 more funny things though, and they're both right down here in the early 20-minute mark range. Weekly's Animatics Org somehow managed to get the exact same time on the Caves puzzle as they did on the Yule puzzle all the way back in Sopo 2. And then right below that, Colon3 is the only team to have 3 times all in a row with their pathfinding, transformations, and Yule solves. Something else some people have been curious about is the actual combined times for all teams. Because some teams DNF certain puzzles, I couldn't really assign a time for them, so I only counted every single team that completed every single puzzle, which was a total of 14 teams. Here are all the times. As you can see, Not Involved in Cheating and No Strong Preference remain the top 2 as the only teams to complete all puzzles in under 6 hours with only 20 minutes between them. Meanwhile, Drip Swag and Puzzles Colon3 actually swap places with Puzzles Colon3 being faster overall by about 15 minutes. Incredibly, We Broke the Code and BEFFD8 actually finished within a minute of each other, only 55 seconds to be exact, which is both surprising that it was that close, but also somewhat expected as they did tie in the overall leaderboard. And with WBTC beating BEFFD8 here, that's where I decided that WBTC would win the tie. AWGGR is also only 10 minutes behind those 2 as well. Then, we have a jump down to Bread and Flaps and Offline Simulator, both of whom also finished in under 10 minutes of each other. Then we have Team Uni, our lovely outliers, with a final time that is a full day behind anyone else's, at 1 day, 15 hours, 24 minutes, and 14 seconds. Another chart I wanted to make was ordering the time it took to complete each puzzle per team. Here is that chart. As you can see, most teams had a fastest puzzle time on Spot It, being fastest for 11 out of 22 teams, exactly half. The Zoo and Sunset were both the fastest puzzle for 4 out of 20 teams. Meanwhile, the Transformations puzzle was the fastest for AWGGR. And, well, as you can see, I had to remove Smisky Sleigh and the Pink Pony Club from this chart because they did not attempt so many puzzles that it messed up all the statistics. On the other hand, each team's slowest puzzle was much more divided. 5 teams' slowest time was on See Example, 4 had it on Fitting In, 3 were on Star Battle, 2 were on Introduction and Mangled Clues, and solely Prey Trick was slowest on Nonograms. I also created this version of the chart, which highlights the highest and lowest rank for each puzzle. We can see that We Broke the Code had the most, well, normal rankings, where their highest ranking puzzle was the overall highest ranking puzzle, and their lowest ranking puzzle was the overall lowest ranking puzzle, with nothing else of note in between. On the other hand, Chill Pills had the highest ranking time on 3 puzzles, and the lowest ranking time on 4 puzzles. Actually, there's a better way to see all this data, and here it is. If we take the average ranking for each puzzle to be the objective solution, for instance, on average, Spot It was the fastest puzzle for each team, and then find the difference between the overall ranking of that puzzle and each team's individual ranking of that puzzle for every single puzzle, then add all those differences up per team and you get this chart. What this basically means is that Avian Witch Genius Gremlin Robot's order of fastest to slowest completion time per puzzle most closely matched the average of everyone's, while on the other hand, Chill Pills was the most different to the average. And that concludes Sopo. I know this puzzle game definitely had some issues and things that could have been improved, but overall it was an extremely fun competition to host, and I hope you all had a lot of fun playing in it. I've been getting a lot of questions for if there will be a Sopo 2 or a Fopo, and the answer is unfortunately no. I always intended Sopo to be a one-time thing, and now that has concluded, sorry. That isn't to say I'm done hosting puzzle competitions, however. I do have inklings of a potential future one, but that definitely won't be anytime soon. Once again, massive congratulations to Not Involved in Cheating for being the official winners of Sopo, and congratulations to the rest of the top 5 for amazing performances, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye!